Get on. Cut that. All right. How about that? That's better. All right. Got an excellent. Anybody? All right. I just check audio. Wow. All right. I gotta cut that. How about now? All right. I'll take that. Get this old breathy. I might turn it back on. All right. I like it. All right. Waiting on y'all. Good morning. Monday morning. Wake up. Monday morning. Drive time. You folks headed to work this morning. Here I am. Let's see. Y'all come on. Uh-oh. Y'all, I need to give me an audio test. Anyway, good morning and everybody. Everybody on their way this morning, picking up their cohorts, getting ready, on the way. Looks like we're going to have pretty good weather for the week. Y'all, bear with me. What is that? Y'all just bear with. Good morning. Anybody? I got him. There we go. I'll leave it. Ooh, you know what? Oh. Y'all stay with me. Mm-hmm. Connect. Post another piece of artwork. Okay. I'm getting my logo up. Okay. It's 5 a.m. Do you know where your children are? What is it, 55 today? Looks like we're going to have not only a dry past couple days, looks like, there it went, a delay. Get those headphones off. Headphones are crazy, man. Especially got delay in them. And I always tell myself I'm going to get in here in the mornings and fix the delay. And I never do. Or get on here every time I get on here. All right, let's get the weather report. Good morning, good morning, good morning, all you hard-working devils out there. Man, making America great again. You know, America ain't gonna get great again without the hard work and effort and the cheerfulness of all you guys getting out there and leaving your families and going to work every day to either to rebuild America one piece at a time. And I've noticed in this country we're always doing it. Being in the demolition business, we're always replacing something. Where was I going? The weather report. And I know there's guys out there this morning. Oh yeah, gonna be beautiful all week here in the southeast region. Temperature's gonna be really warm today in the Atlanta area, 81, but it's going to moderate back down. We got a cold front pushing through. Going to be cooler, mostly sunny. Highs in the mid 60s through Thursday. Lows in the 40s, 50s. And then it'll heat up toward the end of the week. And then next week, looks like we got more rain pushing in. So, I know you demo guys. I know you demo guys out there, y'all like the rain. Don't have to worry about dust control as much. Not receiving enough video. Maybe this, come on Elon, me and my satellite, but where I'm at, satellite's the only way to go. Darn old, let me see if I can get some things changed about here. Well, let me see. Yeah, that's what I want right there. Let me see what I can come up with. I do want to. Oh, here we go. Let's check the news and blues, as somebody used to say it. The news and the blues. There we go. Morning rundown. Let's see. Shifting signals on tariff fuels with fresh trade uncertainty. And everybody's talking about that old trade business with the president and his pissing match with the whole world. You know what? Maybe it needs a little shaking up. When I'm an older guy, I've been around a while. When I look at history, let's am I deleted now? Let's draw some parallels in personal life. You know, say you got a family member who's in need, and they come to you and they need help, and and you got a little money, and your family works hard, and you feel like you can help somebody out, and you start helping your cousins out, and before you know it, after 3 or 4 months, you've been stopping by and dropping off a little grocery, a little gas money for them, and all that, and time goes on, and they become depend on you, count on you. Before you know it, they're calling, you coming by today? Want to know if you're going to drop them off some money this month or whatever. And That's kind of like, in my view, the United States has been. Um, our parents and grandparents spent a lot of time and effort building something great called America, and it's an idea. It's not a particular place. America can happen anywhere. It's where, free will is allowed to be exercised, and capitalism, where you exchange ideas, and we use a common exchange, which is the U.S. dollar. And and when we relate this to other countries, I call it fortunate, call it an idea, but America has, we fought from independence from Great Britain, and we put our resources to work, and our people saw opportunity and used the form of capitalism and free trade and to develop relationships in our own country. We developed our natural resources, and for the first 150 years of this country, our main exchange was silver and gold. Everything was based on a thing, and it happened to be silver and gold because in that technological time, that was the thing that had the most value because of its scarcity, and that's the way it should be. And I guess the natural progression of things is that we produced those things and had great amount of wealth and turmoil in the world. And when you look at international conflicts, you got World War One, and we didn't want to be involved in that. We're busy growing a country, building. At that time, we were probably building our capital and spending money and developing our form of government, and other places in the world, I guess they were more advanced, more mature, and they had difficulties, and who knows. But anyway, as Americans, we stepped in and helped win battles and helped conclude World War One, and then we're in world politics, and we contributed to the Second World War just by the nature of things. But anyway, we went in there and helped, and then we spend our resources across the country, across the world. Opened our doors. We had the Irish immigration, and people from all over the world, along with that, came in and made their homes here, and we welcomed them. They came through places like Ellis Island and things like that, but they were registered, and they wanted to be Americans. They were giving up their nationalities from wherever they were before, and making America their way of life and their home. And we grew and prospered, and then as a settlement, Japanese were coming in, Chinese came in to help build railroads. Everybody came in to help to take advantage of what we had going on, and then that continued. We helped in the world, and then after World War II and World War One, we used our politicians, the people we voted into power and trusted. They started, using our wealth that we had generated, and helped out the rest of the world. And politicians, being humans, I guess, they kind of given money to help other countries, and at the same time they were helping themselves to our pocketbook. Well, it really got out of hand. Now here we are, barely afford to keep our own people fed, and we made some mistakes by, and I think it was maybe some political greed in there on both halves, looking for cheap labor, looking for voters, looking for whatever, and opened up the country, and people crossed without being registered properly in the country, just coming on in and being where they aren't not being, just bringing the kind of people in we really didn't need. And there's some criminals, and we didn't do a good job. That's our fault, and we're going to have to fix it. And all our brothers and sisters across the world, you know, I believe you've had plenty of advantage by being partners with the United States, and I believe those partnerships can continue. But it's going to have to be fair. We can't let our people who built all this, and we can track the billions and billions, and we can track our labor and our effort that we've exchanged a portion of our life for the benefit of others across the globe. To the detriment of our own people and our own nation. We had to put the brakes on that and reassess who we are as a people. And our voices have been heard. Rough and tumble politics. There are people like our cousins we talked about earlier that have grown accustomed to being attended to. And hell, we're in bad way. We're getting to be in a bad way. We need to. You got to help yourself before you can help others. You got to make your own conscience clear. You got to be a good state of mind, body, and spirit before you can ever do anything for anybody else. And we've slipped on that. Anyway, so that's where we are, and thanks to you guys getting up every daggum morning and busting your hiney and going to work. Listen, done it for years, and I still get out every now and then if somebody needs some help in the leadership. Boys, I've crippled myself up, boys and girls. I've crippled myself up over the years, turning wrenches, changing truck tires, driving thousands of miles, and being there and helping people with less experience wiggle through things based on my own rough times, and having the ability to wiggle through things because of the experiences I put myself through. And I've been all over the country, 48 states. I've not been to Alaska, not been to Hawaii, but all the rest of them I've been in over the years, and I've had the wonderful opportunity of meeting many people in our country from different places, and yeah, overall the American people are great. People are great. They can get disgruntled, and they, that thing. Anyway, back to work. Somebody chime in and give me some. I haven't been here in a while. I'll be honest with you. I said I was going to be here every Monday morning, and I couldn't do it for a while because I made a commitment to be somewhere on Monday mornings, and I was acting in a safety role, delivering documents to the job site for the crews to fill out during the week, and giving toolbox safety talks for meeting up with the crews and having toolbox safety talks observing the work, uh, reporting to the owner of the company, giving him opinions and things like that on where I think need things to go, and following up and all that kind of stuff. So I committed to do that, and I may do it again. Uh, but you know, my role right now, they call it safety. And one of the most important things I think that needed to be done as far as safety is concerned is be there first thing at the first of the week and have a meeting, a toolbox safety meeting and a safety meeting. The first thing we always do once a week is have a toolbox safety meeting, and that's just a build camaraderie, number one. Check up on the condition of the men, see what their lives are like, how they're going, the leadership, make sure they're doing well, and then do, through the safety talk, some training. Training on relevant hazards that may exist on the job site, and do that in a unified group. That way we're doing continuous education, talking about hazards and how to mitigate them, and then reviewing the task at hand and creating a pre-task plan, which is part of the we call them a PTP, which is a pre-task plan, and develop what the hazards are in the task. Cover that with the guys and make sure they're aware of the hazards on the job site, and just start the week off right. And I've done that for the past couple of months. That's why you hadn't seen me, because I would have to leave here at 5 o'clock in the morning when I normally start to be on the job. I like to get there a little early, do a job assessment myself, and make sure everything's copacetic. And then, you know, the guys start showing up. We start yakking and hee-hawing and all that stuff, and we develop it. We develop that relationship, that camaraderie, that spirit of success. It's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing. If some of you guys who work with me, if you're tuning in here, we started a project several months ago, and our team was the only team who consistently on a Monday morning had PTP meetings. Well, first of all, we had a safety meeting every Monday morning before we started work, 7 o'clock every Monday morning. There is a safety meeting. And then after that, we do our PTP, and then the guys commence doing equipment inspections before they begin work. And then they begin work. And when they begin work, they understand what hazards they're facing, what they do to mitigate them, and they're following all outlined procedures by the company. And we're working for a pretty big outfit, and the leadership on the job, I know this company, and I know that they have processes and procedures in place, just like our team was exercising. And time went on, and we called off that job for a while. It was a phased project, and we came back in for another phase, and this company, this contractor, they were trying to do the right thing. They started having their safety meetings, and my team would be there at 7 o'clock ready to do. We were still going to have our safety meeting, but we gave them the courtesy, and they wouldn't show up till 10 after 7, 7:15, and saying they want to have a safety meeting on Monday morning for the very first meeting of the week. And hell, we were there, bells and whistles, and they were inconsistent. They would never be on time. Half the time they wouldn't have thought out their program. Printed it out at 7 o'clock while you got 50 guys waiting on them. 50 guys times whatever the hourly rate is in this big GC. The leadership was spinning their wheels and giving that idea no consideration, because they were all hard contracts. They didn't care what time got wasted, but they was always in high concern about the schedule. And so after the first week, I said, We ain't waiting. So we started doing our safety meetings at 7 o'clock, and there'd be other contractors there, and I'd say, y'all come on, y'all can join us. And here we are. We were leading the job in that aspect now. We didn't have any command authority, but we got our stuff going. We'd be halfway into the meeting, and the GC's leadership would show up, and they'd want a copy of our sign-in sheet because they weren't cut. They came in unorganized, and they didn't. Half the time they didn't show up with a sign-in sheet. So it was a learning curve that they got to go through, and then they got to be consistent with it. You know, consistency is a key to running a successful organization. You can't say, as a leader, be there at 7 o'clock, ready to go, and then you not be there. And that's kind of the stuff that we look at, that I see all the time. My guys are standing there tapping their foot, waiting on everybody else. We done our business. We're ready to go. We're leading, or we're leading in front. You hear that phrase, leading from behind. That's comments that politicians make and lazy ass generals. You got to be in the field. You got to get in there. You got to be consistent. And your teams, they expect that consistency, and that's important. Catching up on some stuff. Anyway, quick trips are busy this morning. Everybody's in there. We're starting to get their coffee. Getting ready to roll. Old Sweet Snacks is rolling off the aisles. Y'all need to quit that stuff. Eat you a good breakfast. Not cereal, some protein. A daggum bologna and cheese sandwich is better for you in the morning, other than them darn those sweet buns out of the Quick Trip. And man, I pay $15 or $20 for a couple pounds of coffee, and that stuff lasts me at least 2 months. And it's $15, so I'm spending 25 cents a day on coffee. And there's people going into the Quick Trip spending $1.25, $2 a day on coffee. Then you throw in the sweet snacks, which ain't that good for you. They're just full carbohydrates and sugar to give you the rush. And spend another $1 or $2 on that before you know it. You're spending a couple $100 more than that. Think about how much we're spending out there, guys. I don't know, these small businesses and restaurants, they need money too. They're out there to make a buck. But you need to take care of yourself. Make sure you're eating good meals. I live in a little small town up here in the mountains, and people talk about, what do you think we need in this community? And I'll say stuff like, we need a soup kitchen. A place where a man or a woman or a family can go in and have a bowl of soup, a bowl of stew that's made up, and maybe a sandwich, and it's reasonably priced, and it's healthier than all these other places where all they want to serve you is bread with a little bit of something in the middle, and that ain't good for you. Anyway, I'm going to jump off that soapbox and move on to another one. But it's all about you and yourself. You're out here every morning. I got up this morning to talk to y'all, and we're all on our way to work, and this is just Monday morning. Hell, some of us do it 6-7 days a week on a regular basis. They some pipe fitters and industrial guys and construction workers that putting in the infrastructure. Them guys don't work for 5 days a week, I think. But anyway, there's pipe fitters and welders and all these guys out there working 10, 12, 16 hours a day and 7 days a week. And it's work, sleep, and eat, repeat. They're out there doing it. Now, those guys, they really do a little bit better of a job. They normally live nearby and get a breakfast at the hotel room, and the hotels normally have a little small breakfast out there where they'll have eggs and stuff like that. But then some of them old knuckleheads sleep in and running late and get up and run by the lobby and grab a cup of coffee and a sweet snack and get on the road. Go to bed. Guys, go to bed. Don't lay around. I know, talk to your family. Get ready for bed, but don't lay around and watch darn YouTube all night. Now, I like to watch YouTube, but I know by 9 o'clock I need to be going to bed because I get up at 4:30. And then this morning I got up, what did I have? A piece of cheese and a strawberry. I knew that would last me till I got through with this right here, and then I got stuff to do. I'll get done here. Oh, cup of coffee. 2 cups of coffee. This is my first one. I got my thermos cup by the door there when I get ready to roll up out of here when I'm done with this. Couple of cups of coffee and have something on the stomach and get out. And when I get done here, I'll go do a little exercise, take off the trash, check the mail, go check on the taxes. Oh Lord, I forgot about it. I should have went last week and got my taxes. I know I'm going to have to pay something. I hope everybody's got their taxes done. Tomorrow is tax day. That's another thing. We talked about earlier, giving away our tax money. Hell, the tax day is upon us. What do they say? Some people say we working way up into. We ain't even paid I think on tax day we hadn't even finished paying our tax liability. If you took the whole year and looked at how much we pay, we actually don't finish paying our taxes till April, something like that, May. We don't even finish paying our taxes. If you had to do it on an annual basis, you're working 30% of your life. No, 25% of your life. It's the sales tax, income tax, state income tax, property taxes, ad valorem taxes, federal taxes, FICA taxes, Social Security. We're not even through paying that yet. We're still paying that. And that was part of the conversation when we first opened up this morning was, having to get our own house in order. I think the guys out there in the field like you and me, we need a little relief, man. These wealthy bankers and all this stuff, and I'm glad for them. I'm happy they found some way that they could, produce a good and decent income for themselves, and they live pretty high on the hog based on what they know and how they learned it and what they do with their money and all that, and they have a right to. But we have a right to too, and we should manage our money, and we should have control over it. Anyway, wow. Is today 100 days for the administration? Is that what I'm reading? New administration, 100 days in. What do y'all think? Some of us are happy now. If you have snuck into this country and you've lived here and we've been gracious enough not to bother you about your legal status, you're sending money home to whatever country you're domiciled because you're not a citizen. Sorry. If you didn't go through the process and you didn't make your commitment to this country, gone through the legal processes, you're not a citizen. We have laws, as I'm sure your country does where you're from, all these countries, and there's citizenship laws, and we have really let ours go. And because we are a lawless society, because we've allowed, listen, I don't know where you're from, I love you dearly. But if you're not following the laws, you're not following the laws. If you haven't followed the law to get into this country, what makes you think I can reasonably expect you to follow any other law? I can't. You've already broken the laws to get in here. I've said it many times. If I didn't live in this country, I would probably swim any ocean, climb any mountain to be here in the land of opportunity. I understand that. And maybe that's something we could work on as a country, is figuring out a way to bring people in as it's a benefit to us. That's the way it works. Anyway, let's get back to work. You truck drivers out there, man, I want everybody to think about them old truck drivers, man. I've been a truck driver for a while. Old dispatcher gives you get off, you get a load off, and you're sitting in some crazy city and waiting on the next load. And the dispatcher, he's got 100 different guys out there. He's dispatching, he's hunting loads, and you're sitting there and you try to get some sleep, but you're afraid you'll miss your load call, and then you've been up all night driving, making the delivery. Then you're sitting in a lot, just sitting there waiting on the dispatcher to get back with you, and then you get another load and it says you got 18 hours to go 1,200 miles and you ain't slept, and you got the federal government looking down your throat. You got the wait stations. You got trucking companies ain't nothing but a revenue stream for the government. That's the way we're looked at. We're just a revenue stream for the government. Government begots government. Anyway, I'm on that old rant this morning. We got about 25 more minutes. We covered the weather. It's going to be nice in the region today. I'm in the southeast region. The weather is going to be really nice and dry things out. So guys are doing infrastructure and get to work. Steel hangers can get out there and get to work. And demo guys can get out there and get to work. Demo guys now, they're like, man, we need some rain. When you're in demolition business, you got to control the dust. There's two different levels there. There's the EPA, and then there's OSHA. OSHA wants to protect the workers from the dirt and the dust and all this silica. That's a good thing. We got to protect each other. But in the demolition business, not only can you not only you're required to protect the health and well-being of the worker who's in the field, in those dusty demolition environments, then you can't even let the dust get off the job site, because then the EPA comes into play. And that could be local EPA, state EPA, or federal EPA. So there comes the water usage. You got to have the water. And for the OSHA standard for silica exposure, the demolition is that you have to visibly reduce emissions. But with the silica standard, if you're saw cutting, breaking concrete, sawing concrete, you got to have, there's certain regulations on it, and that I encourage you to look them up. It's for your own health and safety. We have to have certain respiratory protections in place, whether you're a concrete saw cutter, if you're breaking concrete, hammering concrete, chipping concrete. You're required to be protected from the emissions of that process. And that requires water, and ample amounts too. In the same way with when you guys who do asbestos and all that stuff. And there's some ways to do it that are effective. One of the best ways I've seen use, and I've always encouraged, is the use of airless paint sprayers. Instead of using paint, you're just using water. And you just all the time. And on big demo jobs, yeah, interior jobs where there's a lot of interior dust. Yeah, it requires somebody doing that full time. But it's a lot more effective than filling up buckets and pump up sprayers and everything else. You can really keep the dust down, so keep that in mind. It works really well. And some of the other stuff, you got to have built-in water delivery systems in some scenarios. Some scenarios you can just spray water. Other areas you got to like the integrated or the supporting. It's in table 1, and there's several of them in there. If you guys want me to cover that with you one day or create, I probably need to do a safety video on silica dust and the requirements on that, because it still seems to be hit and miss out there on that. And do I agree with all the regulations? I can't say that I do. However, I'm not the one with the guns and the ability to put somebody in jail or take the livelihood money away from others. So that's why guys like me exist out here, is to make sure that we stay clear of governmental intervention on our job site so that we can keep moving forward and be productive. So anyway, if you're out there today with this drying weather, keep that silica dust, keep that dust in mind. Just look at the dash of your truck. You can see how much dust gets passed through your lungs on a regular basis. Thank goodness we've got some filtration systems built in and we can handle a certain amount of it. But we don't need to handle it a long time. We need to take care of our lungs. PPE, guys, safety glasses, I know, man, doggone it. Hard hat, I can see you a mile away. See you got your hard hat on. And I can see pretty good distance, maybe 50, 60 yards, to see if you're tied off properly, or use my phone and magnify you out and see if you're using your fall protection correctly, if you correctly got it on. But them darned old safety glasses, man, you got to be within 10 feet of anybody, and then they see you coming, they'll be looking the other. And I'm like, hey, get them damn glasses on. Now, here's the interesting thing, you guys. Don't let anybody... Now, if you're just got picked up at the Quick Trip and you're getting paid at the end of the day on cash, there ain't no employer going to give two craps about you. They just need somebody to bend their back for them. But if you're an employer and you're a company and you've got employees, you're required to do a hazard assessment on the job site. And everybody needs safety glasses. Just put that right out there. Everybody needs to have on safety glasses and hard hat and work shoes, and they need to be having gloves on. But the employer is required to provide you with any safety equipment that you need as a result of their assessment. And safety glasses are something that's part of the assessment. Same with a hard hat. The employer has to provide those to you once. Now everybody goes, well, man, well, if you wear your safety glasses out and they get scratched over being used, then you take those scratched ones and you get them a replacement from your employer. But if you leave them laying around and you lose them, that's on you. Then the employer has a right to charge you to replace those. If you leave your gloves under the oak tree a quarter mile away where you were having lunch with your buddies that day, and you don't want to walk that distance to go get them gloves, and you go to your employer and say, My gloves, I lost them. He has a right to charge you to replace those gloves. The other side of that coin is if you're working and you have worked with your gloves on and they're no longer effective, then you present those to your employer and he has a responsibility of replacing those gloves at no charge. So take care of your PPE and you can get it replaced per your employer. Employer, make sure you have ample things to protect your people. Don't be lazy. Don't be let them wander around on the job site without their safety glasses. That's your job. Supervisors, you ought to know that, and you ought to have some safety glasses on your truck. So it's a mutual responsibility at the employer's expense. And if somebody's paying to make sure you protect yourself, you ought to have the gumption, wherewithal, and responsibility to take care of that equipment to the best of your ability. And that's enough said on that. Give me your comment. Let me know what you think. Like I said, I was off for a while. I ain't had nobody look at this, but I ain't got nobody on it right now. But at least this will be a permanent record. As long as I'm doing these, this will be a permanent record on the old YouTube. So people know where I stand at. If there's people out there who wants to know what my stand is on the safety, they can check out my toolbox safety videos that I've made hundreds of, and they can check out this now and they can see where my stance is. And this is an effort to educate you guys. I just did a video the other day and talking about safety as a leadership role. If you're in the field and you're doing everything that should be done under the EH&S of your company and under the OSHA standard, and you're doing it to make sure that your guys go home safe, then you will be tapped as a leader in your organization. If you maintain that and stay consistent with it, you will be tapped as a leader. Combine that with other educational avenues on project management and accounting or whatever it is, but you have this basic and you're working in the field, and you will naturally become a leader because you're organizing. You're organizing your men, you're organizing labor and equipment, and the culmination of a common goal, and you're part of that, then you're going to be a leader. And whether you'll be successful where you are currently employed, or another employer will see your value where they have a need and your value increases, or one day you want to start your own business, you have developed the skill sets and the leadership skills to increase your likelihood of success. So, leadership, safety is a leadership role. Anyway, everybody getting close to the job. So, well, they got about another hour for most of my guys are rolling up on the job. If I were on the job, they know I'm going to be there early. And then some of the guys are great. They'll show up early and we get to yicking and yakking and a lot of, just goofing around with one another, getting to know one another, telling jokes and all that stuff. And that's good. That's what we need to do. I've always found over my years that the guys who are there early, they want to make sure they're ready to go. I've seen equipment operators get there and inspect their equipment in the dark before the safety meeting began. Documented. Boys ready to rock and roll when the whistle blows. That's just their style. And they were leaders. They were the top. They were a machine operator. They were most trusted and respected operators in the fleet. And the new guys never understood that. Even guys, when I say new guys, been there 10 years. And they still don't know it. It's just a job. It's just my family. It's just my son. if you're going to do something all the way. Don't go half-assed on it. Anyway, yeah, this morning I don't have any trash. This morning to carry off. Normally that's one of my routines. The trash can upstairs is full, but my wife is visiting with her mother. So that trash can is really full. I'm a fortunate man. I got a wife who likes to keep a clean and tidy house, and I'm grateful. It's nice to come home to a clean house. It really is. Anyway, guys, getting out there, getting on it, rebuilding America. Any other news we need to know about? We covered the weather. Tax day. We got tax day happening today. Oh, that's tomorrow, but better, I hope you got it done. Maybe some of y'all get something back. I'm one of them guys that have been paying for years. Let's see. Market indicators are pointing upward for those who keep track. Gold's looking a little iffy, probably silver too. Man, y'all seen some of these darn new hats? Oh no. Here, let me see if I can get this on there for you. I don't know, boys and girls. Let's see if I can go to this window capture. 3M. Here we go. I want y'all to check it out. Check out these hard hats, would you? Let me see. I'm having trouble. Uh-oh. If I can go. There we go. Check them out, boys. Got the hearing protection built in. Everything. I tell you what, that's some pretty cool stuff. There's some new regulations I understand coming out on the hard hat business. These things ain't cheap. Make you look like an alien. I don't see that, but I guess that's pretty cool stuff. Close that tab. Anyway. That's the way it is. $1,000 for that hard hat I just showed you is $969. Hell, man, old plastic cap you can buy for $20, $30. I don't know how good they are. You know, who knows where they're coming from. And they're just companies out there, they getting by with the bare minimum and print certain things on it, and that's so. It's like hard hats on motorcycle helmets. There ain't no specific regulations on them other than they got to have the word DOT printed on them. Hell, I remember you could buy a DOT sticker and put it on a ball cap. And if you looked at the regulations, then you might have to go to court. You might spend your time and effort to prove your innocence, but that you could put a DOT sticker on it and follow the guidelines outlined in the law and convert a ball cap into a motorcycle helmet by putting a DOT sticker on it, or a sticker that said DOT on it. Ain't no different than anybody else. Taking a shell and putting a little foam in it, putting a strap on it. Ain't no, half of them weren't engineered. There's no engineering that back in the day. Now there might be now. There was no engineering specs on a motorcycle helmet. They was just said you had to be DOT approved. And then the DOT didn't have any specific criteria. Now this is back in the day. And so you'd see old boys with all kinds of shit strapped on their head riding motorcycles. That was another time, another place. Yeah, there we go. Where was that? Oh man. Let's go. Yeah. Close that one. Y'all have seen it. Then us poor old retired folks, man, these old news organizations know how to do one thing. Just post something about Social Security. Hell, not only that, they can get most people. Hey, there's going to be a stimulus check. Why people get excited about that shit and want to follow that news channel and make sure when they go get their stimulus check. There ain't no damn stimulus check coming. Some old politician, well, we need to give the people a stimulus check. And a news organization will pick it up and publish it, and then all of a sudden everybody's out there going, we gonna get that stimulus check. I hear that shit all the time. Yeah, I remember when Obama was in office, and I'm like a lot of you guys now out there in the morning stopping in the old QT, and the old boy be standing there and buying his lottery tickets, and I'll say something to somebody, hey man, you get your Obama check today? I got mine yesterday, $1,700. And everybody around just started asking questions. I was lying like a motherfucker. I ain't getting no damn stimulus check, but boy, them they go home calling, we get my stimulus check today. Anyway, that was all fun and glory back in the day. Where's my damn? Anyway, this morning I'm going to go till 6 o'clock, and then like I normally do, I get out there and I like to listen to old Mike Slater every Monday morning. He has a half hour or so on his radio show where he talks, where people can call in and say what they're grateful for. And so I always do that, and then I normally take off the trash, go for a walk. But today I'm just going to go for a walk and then go check the mail. Maybe the old tax lady will be up by then and swing by. She's had that stuff for a couple of weeks now. I thought she'd call me, but I was sitting there Friday afternoon. I got thinking, I need to go check. And then I drove by there. I had to go buy groceries on Saturday. I drove by there and the office was dark, locked up. And I said, well, golly. I hope I don't get surprised. I roll in there sometime this morning. She goes, who are you again? Get me all messed up. Not following through, boys, girls. I just want to talk about something in these closing moments. And I want to talk about you and your potential. I'm going to tell a little story. Now, I know I made some comments this morning about citizenry, people here in the country. I'm going to tell you some story about some immigrant. I'm going to tell you a story about one little old lady in particular, young lady. By mid-20s, late 20s, got a couple kids already. Made the trek all the way from South America through that darn old Adrian Pass or whatever it is on foot. No telling what kind of turmoil she went through to get to this country. And she got employed by a subcontractor who worked for the company I was working for. I really got to like this young lady. she just was always happy and smiling, and I was aware of some of the struggles she might have been through. She never told me. I just made some assumptions. And her and a couple other ladies there, I got to talking to them, tell them, hey, this is America, baby. You get out here and you do what you need to do, and you'll be successful. And she was not just, but her job responsibility was sweeping floors and cleaning up on a job site, and that's an important job. That's an important job, but most people want a little bit more. They want to expand their horizons. And so I liked her attitude, made mention to it to a senior operator, and he saw the same thing, her desire, and started training her, just starting with a skid steer, making her do the inspections, check the equipment, and learn how to operate it slowly. And Lord knows I'd hate to be a young person working with that old bird I put her with, but he knew the right way, and he follows those procedures. And she got, and the last I heard, she was demoing buildings. I'm talking about in a expensive machine with expensive attachments. She's demolishing buildings. I'm really proud of her, and I haven't talked to her, but I tell guys, I said, give her my regards. And no telling where that young lady will end up at. If she's here in another part of the world with that attitude, she's a value. And so are you. You are a value. No matter what your external circumstances may be, that does not affect your personal value. The only thing that affects your personal value is you and what you think about yourself and what you train yourself to be. There is educational opportunities all over the place. You ain't got to go to no school. You can get specialized knowledge from various places. You can get it from experience. You can talk to mentors, experienced machine operators. They want you to learn. They want to tell somebody all that they know. Not many people ask them about their work, but if you find an interest in it and you ask them, they'll tell you. There's the internet, there's YouTube, the resources are unlimited for you. All you have to do is motivate you. Take an interest, do things right, not just every now and then, all the time. Do things right. Anyway, I'm going to leave you with that message. Now, I didn't see anybody come through here. Maybe this thing will show up. Maybe you'll see this while you're scrolling through. But I'll be here on Monday mornings from 5 to 6 so that we can have this conversation together. Now, you don't have to be looking at me on a screen. You can listen to the audio. Play it in your Bluetooth it through your truck speakers. If you got a crew with you, y'all can talk about it. And you can send me a comment, you can send me a question, and we can talk about it. We can have a real morning show here. But anyway, I got to conclude this. And one thing I always say at the conclusion of everything is I want you to, and I mean this, have a great